Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, we're going to talk about how to manage your emotions more effectively. So the first thing I want to say about this topic that's super important is to manage your emotions effectively, you have to understand what they're there for. Emotions are a beautiful, powerful feedback loop, and they're there to tell you when things are in alignment or out of alignment. And when something's out of alignment, it always falls into one of two categories. The category of what I call your needs or what I call your stories. And I'm going to explain what these specifically mean and how to really break through some of these things. So first, I want to share with you the idea of the difference between pain and suffering. Pain, specifically at the emotional level, just to be clear, pain is literally going to be the response that you have when you have an emotionally unmet need. So let's say you have a need for love and connection. And let's say it's not met because there's been, let's say it's a year ago and it was lockdown and maybe somebody was living alone and they weren't getting their needs met how they normally were used to in terms of love and connection in their life. And they're going to have some kind of pain. And what you're going to feel is that pain is this like painful background pain that tends to be there quite constantly until we deal with it. And that pain is there to constantly let you know that there's an unmet need. Now, if we look at that in a healthy way, it's like, well, that's part of what helped human beings adapt and survive for so long. If we look back historically, like if you had hunger pain, you sought food. If you felt the discomfort of the cold, you sought shelter. Like, pain is there to alert us to stuff. It's helpful for us to evolve and to grow. So it's not necessarily an exclusively bad thing. At the emotional level, then we have suffering. Suffering is the meaning we give to the pain. So if somebody's on quarantine and lockdown and they're feeling isolated and they're not getting their need met for love and connection, but then they tell a story about it and they give meaning that says, I'm not getting my need met because I'm unlovable, because I'm disliked by people, because I'm not good enough to maintain relationship, whatever painful stories we'll start telling. And those are basically just the result of like painful programs or perceptions you picked up about yourself that imprinted the subconscious mind because of painful experiences from the past in your life. Okay. So that can be like being bullied in childhood, that can be having a critical parent or set of parents, like all these things where you came to believe these stories about yourself. And often what happens is when we have an unmet need, the mind tries to gain a sense of certainty about why the need's unmet and tries to discover what it is. And if we're not actively doing that in a healthy way, then our subconscious mind is just going to do it by giving painful meaning that it sort of like puts on or projects onto the unmet need as a subconscious strategy to figure out what's going on and to give us a sense of certainty. Oh, of course, I'm not getting love and connection met. It's because I'm not good enough. But really, that causes a lot of suffering. How do you feel when you're in a space where you believe that the reason you're feeling lonely is because something's wrong with you or you're not good enough? It's an excruciating way to feel. And you'll see that the difference, if you tune into it, is that the suffering feels really intense. It feels very sharp. And so you've got these dynamics that are happening. You're going to feel a lot of intense emotion, more suffering based when you're telling a story. And you're going to feel this pervasive discomfort when you have pain of an unmet need. So what do we do with this? Well, if you want to manage your emotions really effectively, there's 5 really great steps that you can take. And this is my emotional processing tool. By the way, if you want to do a deep dive into this stuff and literally like reprogram your patterns around this so that you are like completely in charge of your emotional state, you can check out the Emotional Mastery and Belief Reprogramming course for free for a 7-day trial. In the description box below, there's a link. You can sign up there. You can check it all out. And you also, with that link, get access to all of our other courses for that period of time. So you can sort of get started on your journey if you want to do a deeper dive into this. Now, here's step 1, okay? So now that you have some context for understanding your emotions, step 1 becomes when you feel negative emotion, you want to witness it. You want to be fully present with it. Think of like if you have a friend who says, hey, can you come over? Or let's say you're having a bad day and you say to your friend, hey, can you come over? I need a friend. What do you want? You want somebody to go towards your pain. You want them to inquire about it, work to understand what's going on inside of you. You want your friend to say, oh my gosh, you're crying. What's wrong? What happened? Are you okay? And then if you say to your friend, oh, I made a mistake at work and I'm an idiot and I'm stupid, what would you want your friend to do? You would want your friend to say, no, you're not. You're smart. Look, I saw what you did at work last week and I saw you did this amazing thing and everybody knows you're a great presenter or communicator, whatever it might be. You would want the friend to help validate the opposite. And this is exactly what we need to do in the relationship to ourselves to equilibrate the pain. Those stories that create the suffering. Okay. So step one, witness the pain, recognize what's going on, go towards it. Step two, figure out the meaning causing the pain. What are the stories you were telling yourself? Were you telling yourself some story that you weren't good enough, that you don't matter, that Bob didn't call you back because he doesn't care about you, that your friend isn't getting back to you because you're disliked? What stories are you telling yourself? And you better correct those stories, because that's a form of almost like abuse in the relationship to ourselves sometimes, depending on how harsh and tough we are in our stories towards ourselves. So we have to question those stories, and we have to find proof of the opposite. The reason we find proof of the opposite, we don't just question the story. We don't just say, oh, I made a mistake at work and it means I'm stupid. Is that true? We say, what are some pieces of evidence for why we're actually smart and why we're capable? You look for 2 or 3 pieces of evidence to question your story, because that story comes from your subconscious mind. And the subconscious doesn't speak language. It doesn't speak English. So we don't just say, no, I'm smart. That lands consciously, but it doesn't land subconsciously. Your subconscious mind speaks emotion and imagery. So when you find proof, when you say, I'm smart because I crushed my report last week at work, because I turned in the project on time and I led a team of people. When you give proof, what actually happens is from your subconscious storage, which also stores your memories. You can think of last week when you led the team of people and you feel the empowerment of doing that. You feel the accomplishment. You feel how capable you were and smart you were when you did that. And it's taking place, if you watch closely, when you bring up that memory, it elicits images. So now you're actually bringing up through evidence of why you're smart enough. Okay. So poking holes in your story and questioning it, finding evidence to support that, actually lands at the subconscious level, which will actually help equilibrate that first piece or set of suffering in your mind. And it's such an injustice when something painful happens in our lives and we go, oh, it's because I'm not good enough. Oh, it's because I'm not smart enough. Oh, it's because this, and this. That's painful for us. That's suffering that does not need to be there. So just to review so far, because I'm going to give you one little part 1 and 2 of steps here. Step 1, witness your emotions, notice and go towards it. Step 2, get curious and figure out what meaning your story you're telling about the situation, aka your suffering. Step 3, question the suffering and look for opposing evidence to help equilibrate it. There you'll feel your first part of relief. Step 4 is now the pain. Let's address the pain. So what are my unmet needs in this situation? Oh, I made the mistake at work. I no longer feel like I'm stupid. I'm not telling myself that mean story. Okay, so what's my need? Oh, my need is to take accountability and fix the problem. Or my need is to ask for reassurance from somebody at work to know that we're all good, everything's okay, and I'm still gonna have my job tomorrow. So you go for the need, and then step 5 is create a strategy to get the need met. Don't just think about what you need, action it. And by the end of doing that, you're gonna have solved for the only 2 things that created negative emotions in the first place, being your unmet needs or your painful stories. Now, sometimes we can't get our needs met immediately. Sometimes we have to wait till the next day at work or whatever it might be. Maybe you're not going to call your boss at 1 a.m. when you're up thinking about it, right? But having the action plan and knowing that you can execute and being clear about what it is will help to really diminish that feeling of emotional pain, because your subconscious mind also understands that, hey, I can imagine myself getting this need met tomorrow. And the idea of having the needs met in the future give your subconscious mind some sense of satisfaction. So those are 5 steps to manage your emotions more effectively, and to also understand what's going on there and why your emotions are happening. And when you look at your emotions in that way and you start to really understand this, you'll see that emotions are like really powerful gifts. And by the way, if you want to reprogram those stories so that they're not coming back all the time, and you want to understand your needs more deeply, the 2 courses to check out for free inside PDS with that link in the description box below are Discover, Embrace, and Fulfill Your Personal Needs, and the Emotional Mastery and Belief Reprogramming course. I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.